Hey, coming up on the show, we've got Bobby and Wayne from the band Saliva, and we're going to talk about their new album, new tour dates that they have coming up, their thoughts on Spotify and the business side, their thoughts on the Seattle bands and the Pearl Jam stuff that's going on right now, and so much more. So real quick, if you could, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, you can also subscribe or follow the show. I would appreciate that, and that way you'll be notified of future interviews. I appreciate it. Saliva coming up next. Anyways, so wait, that's your studio, but doesn't it need to be soundproof? Because I see like the windows and stuff. Does that make a difference?
Well, it's just like a room that we turned into an office style. We don't do drums in here. This is essentially just a guitar and vocal, like a little mixed room. I don't really need soundproofing, you know?
Okay. So then tell me about the new album. Can you tell me anything? Can you tell me song titles or like themes or?
We got some really cool stuff on this one, man. We've been working on it for a while. Some of the songs we kind of had tossing around for a couple years, and then there's songs that we just wrote a song 20 minutes ago, you know?
Really?
Just something new, you know, just, hey, what do you think of this? Something that I was working on. And, Wayne was here last time and brought in a song, and you're just trying to figure out, what to put on the record. We've got probably about 20 songs to choose from, and it just kind of turned, I think this was a good one though. This is going to be really, really good. We're stoked about a lot of the songs on it. This is like the first record that I've been able to make and kind of dive into songwriting being sober. You know, I've been sober like 3.5 years, or close to 3.5 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So a lot of the lyrics will probably reflect that, or like, you know, battling those demons and that stuff and trying to overcome them. And, but yeah, it's been a wild ride for sure. Wayne, you're kind of,
I got a month and a half.
He's got a month and a half sober. So
a month and a half. Oh,
behind,
that's good.
I'll lead on that too.
So what prompted it for both of you? Was it just getting tired of the feeling run down and stuff like that? Or was there like an incident that happened or what?
For me, it was a mix of things. I think like that whole Groundhog Day, especially like when you're on tour and, you know, you play 5 nights a week and you get the same shit on your rider, like every night. So it's like a handle of Tito's, handle of Crown, handle of Fireball, 2 cases of beer, and 8 dudes on a bus. It's like, that's just not the smartest thing to get 5 nights out of the
5
week.
nights? Yeah, no. Maybe 1 or 2, but 5 is a lot.
Yeah. So, it just got to a point where for me, like, hey man, I'm going to try to not do this.
Not doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. And see what happens.
That's a good experiment. Yeah. Because then you notice that you feel differently. Like if you went from 5 nights to 0, it's hard at first, but then after time you actually start to feel better, I would assume. Have more energy and.
Just a little more clear-minded, and you don't feel that guilt, you know. You're able to like free your mind and free things, and you know, live with your, at least this is just me speaking for me, but like live with yourself a little more, and not feel embarrassed, because you know a lot of times people get wasted. Does it ever lead to anything good? No. I mean, you always do stupid shit or whatever, and you know, at least for me, I would do just stupid stuff that it's like, wow.
Wayne's laughing. Is there a story there? What kind of stupid shit did you do?
I would not have done this had I been sober, you know. Just a lot of that stuff. So I guess just drinking never leads to anything positive.
Right. Well, some people, not myself speaking, but some people drink in moderation, and they might have 1 or 2, and then they they can just like do that. And that's like, so they say like you can have one drink a day, but then it's kind of like, well, what's the point of that? Like, why do you want to drink one drink? And then I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know how to do that. So,
right. Yeah.
And that was the thing. Like, well, why don't you maybe just have a drink or drink in moderation? Because I don't know how to do that. That always turns into other things. It's just not, I can't drink a beer.
Yeah.
Or two.
Right. So it's like,
I've got to drink like 14
yeah.
or I got to have, Crown Royal whiskey. My personality is,
doing things to the extreme. So yeah, I mean, that's probably part of your success too with music and stuff. So what do you do? Are you just now going all in on music? Cause I know like the guy from Def Leppard, he would drink a lot and then he's like, yeah, I stopped drinking. Then I wake up and I'd have all this like time and I wasn't hungover and I had all this energy. I started running and then, he's like ripped. He's like in his 60s and he's like got a six pack. It's crazy. So are you getting like into exercise now or
Phil Collen or whatever? Phil Collen,
what is
Def Leppard?
Yeah.
Has a six pack.
And he's ripped.
Yeah.
He does kickboxing outside the bus every day. Like we've done a couple of festivals with him.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing. While the crew is out setting up and loading in, he's out there with his shirt off doing kickboxing by the bus.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah,
that guy's insane. Are you doing something like that? Are you doing kickboxing or are you turned vegan or anything or getting into health or is it just going all in on songwriting?
I would say the songwriting is something that we've always taken that serious though. Always tried to write the best songs, but for me, it's just been more just doing more family stuff and, helping my wife with her business and just, just being a dad, Wayne's a dad and I'm a dad. We're all dads,
That alone is a full-time job.
Yeah, it is. So we,
finding more time for that now though. Yeah, for sure.
And then writing songs and doing that. I mean, that's kind of like, that's like the fun part.
Yeah. And recording and stuff. So then how do, Paul and, the bass player, I'm spaced on his name. I know the guy from Shinedown. How did they,
Brad.
Yes, Brad, sorry. And then are they going to be flying in to do their parts or do they do their parts and send them electronically?
Brad lives in Jacksonville. He lives like 2 miles that way. So he's been doing bass at his place. And Paul actually has been tracking drums in Houston. He lives in Houston. So.
And then he just sends it to you?
Yeah. So he's got like a really awesome electronic kit. And he'll just track them that way, and then he'll send us the stems, and then we'll just able to import everything in. And
yeah,
so
okay, that's cool. Yeah, so I didn't know that. So he does a lot of electronic because I know the one thing that's interesting about his drum thing is that he has the giant, like really thick sticks, which is kind of unusual.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what size sticks he plays.
You don't notice that? Like he has like giant like drumsticks. You never notice that?
Maybe he just has little hands.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, it's definitely noticeable. Well, yeah, that's cool. So new album, that's exciting. Is it going to be released? Obviously it's going to be streaming, but is it going to be on vinyl and CD and all that stuff too? Or
yes. Yeah. So that's kind of the vinyl is on back order right now. Our whole big thing with last year was to do this every 20 years reunion, not reunion, but like regroup with doing some of the songs. And the main purpose was vinyl. We wanted vinyl. And we're like, oh yeah, we placed the order in, I don't know, February, March, and we didn't get them until November, the vinyl.
Wow.
And we released it in May. We thought it was only going to take 2 or 3 months. And no, dude, it took like 7 months to get those things.
So you just got to have that put in the order now, even though you don't have the album finished.
Yes. So especially for vinyl, but we're actually about to release a song. We're going to release a song in a few weeks. Actually, like early March.
Okay.
Release a song.
Okay. Well,
and then we're going to radio after that. We're going to radio in April.
What do you mean going to radio? Like you send a single to the radio to play, or?
You go pay off all the people that have to be paid off in order for your song to do something. And I'm just being fucking honest. I mean, that's what all these fucking bands do.
That sucks.
You gotta pay the people.
Payola, is that what it's called, right?
No, it's not. It's not really like that. It's not like you're paying radio stations off or anything. It's just there are certain people, there's certain players, like mafia, man. It's like this, you know. You gotta pay the guy that knows the guy in order to get your stuff played.
Wow. Okay. Is that worth it though nowadays? Because I know you just got, congratulations on, by the way, you have 50 million streams on Spotify. So that's pretty cool. That's kind of a bigger deal than being on the radio, isn't it? Like you get on those playlists.
Yeah, the playlists are a big deal. So that's what we're trying to focus on now, like moving forward with these records, because that record that we had 50 million streams on, I probably saw negative dollars. Because they're just, that was, I tell this to people when people are like, oh my God, Spotify, oh, they don't pay money, they don't do this. If you look at the numbers and you compare, then yeah, you're right. Because 50 million streams, you should think 99 cents per stream, but it doesn't work that way. And a lot of times, a lot of these bands and artists, they bitch about it. They signed a bad deal. You signed a bad deal. So you're not getting paid, but the label who owns the masters are getting paid. So, and that's the reality of all this, is what kind of deal did you sign? Because say like Click Click Boom has over 100 million streams. These guys aren't seeing that because they still owe Universal. They still owe Island Def Jam. They're still $1 million in the hole on that record.
Still, even to this day?
How could you be $1 million in the hole on that record?
From spending $500,000 on every video you ever shot. And, yeah.
Labels like to keep the bands in debt to them.
Yeah.
That's why even bands like Linkin Park, Three Doors Down, they sell 6 million, 10 million records on a first record.
Still not.
And they're suing their labels because they're like, wait a second. Yeah. We know there's got to be money. They're like, no. Remember when we Learjetted you guys everywhere, and then we did this, and you bought your house, and you did all this on us, and $500,000 video, and then it's just, it all adds up, man. They keep that tab. They want to. It's like a bad bank loan, a really bad bank loan. Oh, we'll give you $100,000, but you owe us $1 million.
A really, really bad bank loan.
Yeah, with like the highest interest rate imaginable
ever.
So Spotify somehow. Streaming gets lumped into that because if you sign a deal, even if you said 20 years ago you signed a deal for that record, even though Spotify didn't exist then, there's verbiage in those deals and those contracts that state basically anything that happens that changes industry-wise and becomes another source of revenue still goes back to recouping what you owe the label. So, it's
Gotcha.
a tough. The way to really make money in streaming is owning the master. That's it. So what we're doing now is moving forward, just owning the masters and not doing deals with labels, and just nothing against the labels, because sometimes you need the labels to make money, but a lot of bands are going the more investor route, to kind of invest into their own project and their own band, and they're able to see return, based on just owning their master and stuff.
No, that makes sense. But
guys like Neil Young or whatever, they have the freedom to leave Spotify because they own their fucking masters. Like, you know what I mean? But
I think he sold his music actually to the Blackstone company or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm getting at is it's not like, such and such record label, they'd be like, fuck you, no, we're making money off this, we're gonna keep it on Spotify, we don't care how you feel. So that's really what it is. Most of these artists that are leaving, it's because they can.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So you still need Spotify is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm
not against it at all. I mean, I think that, of course every band wants to make money for their art and their craft. It's just but it's just a music business, man. It's always been that way.
But what if enough people left? Wouldn't like, what if you guys all started your own streaming service and all the cool bands were on this new streaming service, and then you charge more or something, and then you get more of the cut of the money?
Yeah, but that would be like, you kind of go to the back of the line. It would be like me saying, hey, I've got a new cola I just started, and I'm going to go compete with Coke and Pepsi. It's just, it's kind of impossible.
Really? You don't think enough artists would
want to, and you'd like to, but every single everybody's on Spotify, but a very small percentage.
Yeah. I thought more people were going to, when Neil Young jumped ship and then Joni Mitchell did, I was like, oh, then out the floodgates. And I thought everybody was going to do it, but then it was just like those two or three
died down.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting.
Dude, the masters, look at Metallica. They finally got their masters like a few years ago. They own their masters now.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. Metallica. Yeah. The biggest rock band of all time, basically. Like,
one of them. Yeah, for sure.
Finally got their masters.
So then they just own everything now. They get 100% of all the royalties and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And so a band like that on Spotify, it's coming in for them for sure.
Yeah. Cause I thought it was like 0.003 cents per stream. So I did the math, like, so for 50 million streams that would be like $200,000.
$200,000, yeah.
Yeah. And that was all, you said that was 50 million.
Nothing.
That was just for one album. What's that?
That was just one album. Yeah. That was the Love, Lies, and Therapy release that came out in 2016.
Oh yeah. Because your latest one is 10 Lives, right?
10 Lives. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good one too. I liked my favorite song was Some Shit About Love. That was a catchy tune.
Cool, man. Thanks.
Yeah. You have some more songs that sound in that kind of vein for the new one too?
Yeah, actually. There's some there's a little bit for everybody on this record, but we got some pretty cool aggro stuff, but a lot more of the melodic, I would say, a lot of big melody hooks, man. And it kind of feels fresh. It has a lot of modern, like, just current
cool
style stuff. We influence like some industrial type stuff, some really, really cool electronic stuff as well.
Do you think that's the future of rock? Because that's what I remember when I was a kid and like 9 Inch Nails came out and I was like, oh, this is going to be the future of rock. Like every band's going to go like this. And then that kind of music died out a little bit. I feel like it didn't really take it. Now it seems like retro, like the Greta Van Fleets and stuff like that is more the hip new rock.
A lot of bands tried to do the else thing, and it's just Trent Reznor is just
there's only one.
Yeah, he's a genius. Yeah, he's amazing for sure. But
I mean, he was able to do that electronic like stuff and make it sexy, but also still like the songwriting was brilliant. I mean, those songs are
great lyrics.
So
right.
But on like the Greta Van Fleet and a lot of the newer bands of more retro stuff, I think it's just everything kind of goes, full circle and things become popular again. The 80s style stuff was popular again, 90s stuff. It just, I'm waiting for the next Oasis to come out. That's what I want to see.
Oh yeah. I love them. I mean, there's some obviously some drama behind that band, but they're very talented musicians for sure. Well, you do covers.
Yeah, well, it's like Beatles. Then Oasis was like the Beatles. So where's that next band at? Because I think and a lot of times people will compare. Someone will say, "Oh, Greta Van Fleet, they're like a Led Zeppelin ripoff." I wouldn't say that they're ripping the band off, and maybe they like Zeppelin. Maybe that's the influence. Maybe that's the thing. I mean, every band you've got to have your influences and things that you like. You try to create your own songs, and
I think they should lean all in and just do like a tour where they do like 5 Zeppelin songs. I mean, I bet they could kill some of those old Zeppelin tunes.
I'm shocked that they don't.
Yeah, I don't think I saw them live, and I don't think they even did one Zeppelin song. I was like, you're not even going to just do one Zeppelin song, like, just for fun, like, just because you can. I mean, it's like being able to play basketball if you're Michael Jordan and you're like, no, I'm going to go play baseball. Like,
Yeah, it's hard to do Zeppelin too. They could do it. I know Great White used to do some pretty cool Zeppelin.
yeah. No, they do a good job too. But yeah, Greta Van Fleet, I'd be curious to see what it could sound like, because I never got to see Zeppelin. I'm too young.
Never got to see who?
Zeppelin. I never got to see them live.
Oh, Zeppelin.
Yeah. But you guys do some covers in your side. I know you did like the cover Fleetwood Mac, the Gold Dust Woman. Are you still going to do that or do different covers? I know you've recorded some as well.
We might actually when we start playing live, our next show, first show back isn't until March. We're going to change the setup and definitely do some different stuff and add some things. And as far as the cover stuff, I mean, we've done a couple cool covers, and we made that do a medley or something, you know, to where we can do kind of incorporate both together. You know, we'll see.
Yeah, because you'd have like the Michael Jackson one and Spoon Man and the Eminem one, which was really interesting. Yeah, that's cool. It'd be fun to hear those live. Even like you said, just a snippet, like a medley. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, your first show back is the Honeymoon Rock Fest, and then you don't have like a tour set up, or you had to reschedule some UK dates, or are you working on setting up a US tour?
We're working on the US tour. We're supposed to be in like Europe and UK right now, and we that was kind of a weird miscommunication or something, because we had this promoter we were dealing with for about a year on this, and I mean, you know, he put everything together pretty quickly and it was great, and then all of a sudden he's like, I think that we should postpone because COVID's really big over here right now. And I'm like, okay. And this was like last October. And then I kind of kept in touch with him. I was like, hey man, I'm going to get flights. We're going to do this. What's going on? Oh, well, we'll just postpone Europe and then we'll just do the UK. I'm like, well, we kind of want to do both. I don't think that it makes sense to do just one and not the other. And it just, for whatever reason, it didn't work. And then we announced that we weren't doing it. And then we were getting blown up on Facebook and stuff. People saying, everything's open over here. We don't know why you guys are not coming. And it's like, wow. Okay. Well,
yeah. Because that's what I heard is that they've opened up like, I know I just talked to a guy from Sweden and he said there's no restrictions in Sweden. So I think they're opening up a lot of stuff over there. It seems like.
Yeah. So we're going to try to get back there, hopefully by maybe fall or something.
Okay. That's cool. So yeah, so you got the album, the streaming, the touring. What about merchandise? Because that seems to be a big moneymaker for a lot of bands. I know, because you have the name recognition, Saliva. Have you ever thought of you trying to use that into like launching like putting it on a coffee or something like that? I know, or like cool clothes. I noticed you guys have like really cool clothes. I'm like, I bet there'd be a lot of people that want to dress like Saliva. Would you guys ever consider opening like a clothing brand or something?
We have not, but we had we had launched, what was that we were doing a few years back or 5 years ago?
Oh, what?
The liquid, the vape. We had the vape juice line that we were doing.
Yeah.
And then we did, we had someone reach out to us recently about doing a bourbon.
Ooh, yeah.
And basically the guy, he does, like, he makes his own bourbon and stuff and barrels it. And he approached us. He was in Iraq for like 4 years, deployed and stuff. And he said that Saliva was like the band that he just like loved, Saliva, and you know, all those songs, Click Click Boom, that whole thing. So somehow we met through a mutual friend, actually the guy that does our merch. Is the one that said, hey man, this guy wants to meet you. Wayne, are you in the
Yeah.
there? The guy was like, yeah, he wants to meet you guys or whatever. So I talked to him on the phone and just heard the story, and he had this incredible story about how he would like, Click Like Boom got him through a bunch of stuff. He was going through combat missions, and he said that he makes this bourbon and does that. And he's like, man, I think it'd be cool to have like that story of like, mixing Saliva and like the military, and we do like a bottle and it's got like the American flag on it and this whole thing. And I'm like, dude, yes, absolutely. You don't have to sell me on it. It sounds great,
Yeah.
So the fact that he was even interested in wanting to do that with us, with with his whiskey that he barrels, I think it's awesome.
No, I think that's a really good idea. And you could also do like a non-alcoholic beer or so, because you're not drinking anymore. Like, I feel like that's a market that, well, because like a non-alcoholic beer is so boring. Like, it's just like, there's like 3 different kinds. Like, it'd be fun to do like a cool one or something something that you'd actually want to drink. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just an idea. But anyways, well, let's talk more about, so I was going to ask you about Burn Season. Are you still in that band technically? Is that kind of like a side project?
I mean, that was a band that I had a long time ago, and yeah, it was a cool band. Did some cool things, but it never got off the ground, I guess. And, it just didn't feel like it ever was going to.
Yeah, but they gave you like $100,000 advance, which is, I guess that's kind of a big deal, right? Like, it was like it was like there was a lot of potential. So what do you think happened? Like, why did that one not? Because I listened to it too, and it sounds good.
At that time, though, getting an advance like that actually wasn't a whole lot.
It wasn't okay.
I mean, there were bands getting $1 million advances, but only 2 guys, only me and one other guy signed that contract. So
right.
Yeah, that's how we got split it. But that with 4 ways would have just been 25 each. But
right.
Giving that amount of money to like 17-year-old kids basically was right out of high school. That was pretty awesome. So, and then we made the record with Bob Marlette, who did all the Saliva first few. So we learned a lot, and there's some cool songs on that record. But I'm gonna tell you, like, those songs before what you hear, man, they were different songs. And Bob really brought out the melodies and the lyrics and a lot of that stuff on those songs.
And he did the same for Saliva too, right?
I would say so. Would you say, Wayne?
Yes. What? Yeah.
Bob helped Saliva a lot with in the songwriting process.
Bob is our Obi-Wan. He's the Jedi Master when it comes to the Saliva technique.
Do you have a producer on this one, or somebody who's going to mix it or engineer it?
We kind of just do the stuff ourselves and then have mix. We get it mixed. That seems to be working well. We've talked with some producers and stuff. It's just these days, man, it's just hard to spend money.
Yeah,
it's not the payoff, because some of those producers are really expensive.
Yeah, well, and they're good. I mean, but at the same time, we just try to figure out what works for us.
When you got a guy like Bobby that can produce as well as those, highly paid guys, we got a guy in-house.
Nobody, I appreciate you, Wayne. I'm not the one. It's Michael behind us that's producing right over there.
Yeah. Michael Myers. Yeah. No,
he's
that's
producing
stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and he's got a knife in his hand. So
right.
If you only get, a couple times to fuck up, once you do, it's like, all right.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. So you're producing, writing, and singing. That's a lot of hats to wear. And doing interviews.
It's all done in this room, man. This is the room it's done in.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Oh, tell me this story too, though. Like, I heard you talking about this, one of these other this is crazy. I never knew this story, but you guys had some deal with the guy from Bacardi alcohol, and he gave you this like crazy deal for a record, and then he bailed on you, and I was just like, what? This is like such a strange story that the guy from Bacardi like alcohol started a record label and wanted to sign you guys.
All right, so the story so in those records, by the way, I'm trying to get put up on Spotify and on the stream and Rise Up. So hopefully that'll come soon. But yeah, so it goes. This guy reached out to our drummer and said, "Hey, yeah, Louis Bacardi hears that you guys you don't have a record label." Well, he just started one. And I think that Louis was kind of one of those guys that comes from a lot of money. He's in the Bacardi family. He's like the grandson of the dude that started Bacardi or whatever. And so you don't say no to him like on really anything. And he
like he was like saying like, how much do you want? Right. I mean, it was like, you should have maybe asked for more, right? You could have asked for.
Maybe actually, because when we met with him for the first time, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to be near you guys tomorrow." And we were like, we're in like the middle of like Wisconsin.
Yeah.
How are you going to be near us? Well, because he just Learjetted to where we were because he wanted to meet us. And he was a fan. He was a fan of the band.
Yeah.
And so we met with him. It was Ruth Chris, I remember. We met him in Madison. Was it Madison?
There was a big, huge boat race there. And he had one of his race teams, and one of his boats was in the race. So, yeah. And it was nice. We had a nice dinner out of it, I'll tell you that.
And he looks at us and he says, so what kind of deal are you guys looking for? And we all four looked at each other. We're like, I don't know. What do you think? We didn't really know how to answer that question.
Yeah.
And then like we're like, well, let's just figure it out. Let's just have the lawyers talk and you guys can work it out. And so he sent over the first draft or whatever it was. And, our eyes just got like, whoa, like, is it for real? And then, and then it kind of turned into, look, I mean, we're grateful for everything that he did. He did a lot for us. Like he gave us not just the money, but like, I mean, he bought us all new gear, dude. It was like, man, he said, whatever you want, you tell me. I went to Guitar Center and bought 3 Gibson acoustic guitars. Like, and he like, I called him and he did his credit card over the phone. Like, and I'm talking like J45s and a Hummingbird. Like, so remember he bought Fractals. He bought us Fractals.
I got 6 new guitars.
6 new guitars, amps, drums. I mean, lights. He bought us a whole lighting rig and all like Martin, movers and stuff. The thing is though, is all that was great. But when it came time to do the record, to put the record out, it was like, hey, so what are we going to do about the record release? He's like, oh, we're just going to do it all online. It was like, we got to have like distribution in place and like, physical copies and so there was the glorious side of things. And then there was just the side of like, it goes back to that. You can't tell certain people no, like they'll do whatever, like he'll go start a damn hunting league if he wants. He'll go start a fucking bowling league, whatever. Yeah. You can't really. So he's like, I'm going to start a label. I'm going to sign Saliva. That was his thing, but he just didn't have a whole lot of knowledge and didn't have the people around him. Yeah. All the people around him were just people he'd known for 10 years, 20 years that just basically did whatever he said, Yes, sir. Yes, all that stuff. So for us, it was unfortunate because we thought we made a great record and it just, nobody ever got a chance to, get it and radio and all that stuff. It never really happened because he I don't know, man.
It wasn't promoted properly, is what you're saying.
I guess what I'm doing is not going to say much more because it got a little weird there at the end, and I don't want to like throw anyone under the bus, but it just didn't work out, man.
Yeah. It sounded like a miscommunication. Like he like thought you guys were mad and you weren't, and whatever. But anyways, water under the bridge. So,
right. And we learned from it, man. You learn from that shit. Like, okay, we're not going to do that next time. And we're not going to sign with an indie or whatever, or someone, So then we go and we sign a deal with Universal Music, and then there you go. And we get 50 million streams and haven't seen a penny. So,
moral of the story is to just be independent at this point, right? Not have any record labels.
If you can, I mean, some of these new artists get promised the world, man, but they got to sign their life away for it. I mean, that's
360 deals.
That's the truth. I mean,
like that.
All these huge artists today, guarantee you, they're still signing bad deals, but they're like, look, you're going to be rich. You're going to be famous. We're going to put you everywhere, but we're going to make a shit ton of money off of you too.
That's the takeaway is don't make you famous. You can be a household name, but you're not going to be as rich as they make you look in those videos.
Tell me this story. What the hell happened here? You lost access to your Instagram for like 3 years. That sounds like a total nightmare. Was that somebody that you trust, like a manager or something that stole your password?
I wouldn't really call her a manager. She was more like a fanager. That's what we call her, a fanager.
Okay.
Yeah. Like just someone who swore they knew everything about the band and just we're kind of in a situation right now we're trying to handle with that though. So
okay.
But yeah, we got access to that back. I'm not gonna say the person's name.
No, don't.
But I will tell you this, like we did actually we had a song that we put out on Spotify. Well, we didn't know that she was collecting on our behalf. And so she was collecting like the money.
Oh shit.
From it. Yeah, we had no idea. We fired her like a year later. I remember reaching out to Megaforce and I'm like, hey, it's weird because there's a lot of streams on this song, but we haven't seen anything. And she was like, we didn't put that out. And I'm like, well, who did? And then we got to the bottom of it and we realized that, yeah.
Oh, that's some scary stuff.
I don't want to tell you how much it was, but it was a good bit.
Oh,
yeah, that we lost.
And so wait, like, did you know the song or you never saw the money from the song being released?
Never saw the money.
She took it all. Wow.
Yeah.
That's scary. Yeah. It's weird because I talked to a lot of musicians.
But then we got access to it back though. We got it removed from that. It was through, I think she did it through, TuneCore or something like that.
Oh, I've never heard of that one.
I think she went through like TuneCore and then just had it go into her. But yeah, that's the thing, man. You got to surround yourself with the right people.
I guess so. Yeah. I hear more stories like that than not from musicians. So many people getting fucked over. It's sad.
Yeah.
But there's got to be some good people in the business too, for sure.
Of course, man. Yeah. Not everybody's evil, but I think it's just like the, what is their, like, what's the motive? It's the motive to really try and help the band and try to, get the band to another level or help succeed, or is the motive to let me see how much money I can make off of their touring or whatever and just blow smoke up their ass and tell them how great they are.
Like exploit is what you're saying that people are trying to do.
Well, yeah, well, like just or people, they'll just try to get close to you and just make you think everything's great. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do that for you. And then they don't. And then they just say, oh, hey, that tour that you guys just did, can you give me my commissions for it? Like, well, what did you do? And this is always great. I always like this one. This is one she would do a lot. And she would be like, well, I'm like working directly with the agent and I'm doing social media stuff. I look at the social media stuff. I'm like, this is the worst fucking flyer I've ever seen in my entire life. And then as far as the agent, I'm like, well, the agent's calling me to make sure I'm okay with everything anyway. So why do I really need you to deal with the agent when I could just deal with the agent?
Right. Yeah. I hear a lot of stories like that too, where sometimes you don't really need a manager, especially if they're taking 10 or 20%. Sometimes it's easier to just do that yourself.
I feel like if they're doing things for you and getting certain things for you, yeah, absolutely. Because it's like, it should be incentivized, more incentive.
Yeah.
Whatever they bring to the table and whatever they do for you is how they will make commissions.
That makes sense. Yeah. Cause if they go out and get you these big festivals and you didn't know how to do that or didn't have the connections, then that's huge.
Right.
Yeah. That's big. Well, did you ever get, cause I know obviously you got you were in Burn. What was the band called? Burn Season? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you get it's crazy. You just get this call to join Saliva. Have you ever had, or has Wayne ever had any other like crazy offers to join other bands that didn't pan out?
I mean, there's a couple things that happened that I don't know that I can really talk about or should talk about, because this will end up on Blabbermouth or something.
Right.
So there was another band. I will tell you, there was another band, Jacksonville-based band. They went through some breakup stuff, and it's not Limp Bizkit and it's not Skinner or Cold. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's not those bands, but it's a band, and they were like replacing some members, and I got a call about doing some drums on the record.
Okay.
Because they were recording here,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a call about doing some drums from the producer, and I was friends with some of the guys in the band, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And I remember he was saying, yeah, Bobby, man, I just really like your drumming, and this could probably land you the gig in the band. And I'm like, dude, I'm friends with these guys. You're a fucking terrible person. Like, why are you going behind these guys' backs to try to replace their shit on the record? It was not cool in my opinion. So there's only a handful few people that know about this kind of that happened within that band. But
damn,
that's
a cool story. Maybe you could tell me off the record who it was, but that's it.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
And then there was another, I almost had an audition with another band to play drums for. The drummer was going to do he was doing some other gigs, and someone in the band that kind of ran the band didn't like that he was doing other gigs and wanted him to be, just in that band full time, but they weren't touring full time, and he wasn't on retainer. That was the thing. He was like, well, I'm not on retainer. So if you put me on retainer, then I won't play in these other bands. So then they put him on retainer. So,
okay. Gotcha. Well,
there was almost a switch there, because the guitar player in that band at the time lived in Jacksonville, and he had reached out to me, and he and I actually got together and jammed.
Okay.
So
yeah, there's a lot of stories like that like you never hear about till 5, 10, 20 years later, and then it's like, whoa, what? Like this person almost was in this band, and there's crazy stuff like that. I like hearing those kinds of stories. But yeah, you posted something on your Facebook the other day about your top 5 Seattle bands. I noticed you didn't have Pearl Jam in the top 5. So I just wondered too, if you saw like that whole like spat with Motley Crue and Pearl Jam. Like Eddie Vedder said he hated Motley Crue, and then Nikki Sixx called them a boring band. Like, would they have made your top 10 of Seattle bands, or do you think they're boring?
I think so. So for me, and that was just the grunge era. That's what I listed. I mean, I could have listed Heart and like Queensryche and a lot of other Seattle
Jimi
bands
Hendrix
that I thought were cool. Yeah. But I would say just from that, I had seen that beef going on, and I thought that it was unprofessional from Eddie Vedder's perspective, because it's like, why even when he did the jab at Tommy, when he was talking to Chad about when Chad Smith was about to do a drum solo when that video came out.
Yeah.
And then he said, yeah, we don't need our drums to turn over like, a Ferris wheel or whatever he said. I don't know, but taking a jab at Tommy's theatrics, which I thought, wait, isn't your beef with Nikki Sixx? Like, why don't you just like, make fun of, his bass being on tracks or something. Not Tommy's drums. Man.
Is his bass on tracks?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm just saying. I mean, if you were going to poke fun at somebody,
right?
Why poke it at Nicky, not at Tommy?
Well, I think it sounds like he just doesn't like Motley Crue for whatever reason, which is like, it's weird that that's coming out now. I mean, I'm sure he's probably obviously hated him for a while, but it's weird that it just all of a sudden came out in an interview.
None of those bands in Seattle probably ever liked Motley Crue. I mean, it was probably everything that they were trying to avoid and they were against. It's crazy because all those Seattle bands never thought they were going to be on MTV or sell millions of records, because when they were doing their thing, bands like Motley Crue were on MTV and selling millions of records. So how that just shifted and changed. And I think that's what makes that Seattle scene so great and so just empowering in rock music, in history, because dude, those bands like Alice in Chains for me is like my favorite Seattle band.
That was one on your list. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love Soundgarden. I love Chris Cornell.
Yes.
Like Chris Cornell could literally sing fucking Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake. And I'm totally cool with it, which even, that song's actually pretty rad by Justin anyway. But I mean, he could, Chris Cornell for me was definitely high up.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was cool that you had Candlebox at 4. I had Kevin Martin on the show. I'm a Candlebox fan. I feel like they kind of got a raw deal. And I talked to Kevin about that, how it was like, dude, how come you guys never got the respect? And he said there was a lot of people in Seattle that hated them. They thought they were like, they had too much success too quickly. They didn't deserve it.
I think they just wrote some great fucking songs. That's what it was. I mean, and it's funny because we did some shows with Candlebox when I first got in the band. And I was always a huge Candlebox fan, and me and Kevin became friends, and he and I did some acoustic shows. He'd never done acoustic shows before. And then I called him one day and said, hey man, I got these show offers. You should do them with me. I can, get you paid and we'll go do these shows. And he and I in an SUV in Michigan in like the fucking snow. And we did like 4 acoustic shows together, and it was awesome, dude. And I got to like hang with him, and dude, he told me some of the greatest stories, man. Like some really cool stories, like with him hanging with Henry Rollins back when they first started. Telling me some old stories about like when they were on tour with Metallica in the early days, and playing Woodstock. And he's just very, very knowledgeable, very smart guy, and just very down to earth, humble dude, and has fucking pipes. Like, dude, he's one of the fucking best singers, man.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that.
He still can sing like that.
Absolutely.
Hey, so Kevin Martin is like, I mean, he would be I would probably consider him third on that list that I put, except for I feel like Nirvana just kind of busted through the doors, and they really made it all possible for all the other bands.
Absolutely. So, yeah. I mean, whether love him or hate him,
favorite.
Yeah, love him or hate him, though, they definitely were original, and they changed the landscape of the whole music scene for sure. Like, dude, even more songs, so than Alice in Chains and Soundgarden.
Yeah, but those songs you hear, those Nirvana tunes on that Nevermind record in particular, it's like the fucking universe just lined up, man, for them in that month of making that record or writing those songs, whatever happened. Like, because you think about how great those songs, listen to the record before that, and you're like, okay, it's all right. There's 1 or 2 great songs, but when you listen to Nevermind, dude, you're like territorial pissing. Dude, I'm like going nuts to all of it. It's just song after song after song on that record is just brilliant. So, dude, it aligned for them.
Absolutely.
Very, very magical moments and that shit.
It's crazy to think Dave Grohl's just like the drummer of that band. Like, he's not even the front man or guitar player or main songwriter or anything. So,
but dude, he wrote those fucking songs too, because you listen to a lot of those drum grooves and those drum fills, they make those songs, dude. They really do. Like, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Yeah, you hear the clean riff, which is great, but what do? You air drum that intro going in. That's a very hooky. That the drums in that song are super, catchy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Any other drummer could have fucked that up.
Yeah.
You know?
No, he's great.
Just saying.
That'd be cool, like Saliva and Foo Fighters. Have you ever played with them before?
No, dude, they're too big and we're too small. Like
you could open for them, right?
Dude, we're still too small, man. Like they're too big. Like Foo Fighters they've, I fucking love Foo Fighters, man. They never miss when they put out a record too. It's good. And I love that Dave Grohl sticks to the rock and roll roots and just, does his thing. I got a lot of respect for somebody like him who's able to overcome what he was in before with Nirvana and is like, his frontman singer committing suicide only after like 3 years of him being in the band and then being like the biggest rock band in the world to just a year later going out and doing the Foo Fighters and has been doing it ever since. I mean, that and not stopping. That's fucking, dude, that's good. That's good stuff, man.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Only one could dream to have that.
Right. Because the bass player, what happened to him? Like he kind of like went off the map, which I'm sure if he wanted to like join a big band or start a big band, I'm sure that he'd have tons of offers, but it's almost like he did that on like his own preference.
Well, his best friend shot himself and, they think about those few years they had, how big they got. I think Chris Novoselic was probably one of the main ones who never wanted to be that big.
Yes.
They would say that Kurt always felt that way, but I think a part of Kurt really did want to be a fucking big rock star just so he could prove all the haters or whatever it was, childhood and all that, but I don't think he liked the hokey stuff, like the fucking interviews and hey, what shirt did you wear yesterday? Those stupid questions, I don't think that was probably always him, even as a teenager. He probably, someone would ask him some stupid question and he probably had the same reaction.
Right.
And I think maybe Chris didn't want the limelight and he thought he was, hey man, we're just fucking high school friends playing in our garage. Next thing you know, they're on Saturday Night Live and biggest rock band in the world. I mean, that's and how quickly that happened.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. They went from like tiny little local indie band to giant, huge, like you said.
And that's the power of MTV and the power of radio, what radio was.
It used to be, yeah.
I was just talking to our managers about this yesterday, because they were bringing up like Linkin Park, like the radio guy that was on the phone worked like that Linkin Park the first record, Hybrid Theory. And we were talking about like, somehow it got brought up, them playing in front of like in a small club in the front of like nobody. And, it was just, they couldn't get anybody into the band. And then look what happened, that they blew up. And I told them, I was like, man, I remember seeing Papa Roach and maybe it was 2000. I don't remember exactly, but this was back when, you would get the sampler CDs, like they only had like 2 songs on it. That was like the big deal. And these bands had street teams and shit. And I saw Papa Roach play here in Jacksonville and they opened for the big local band here. No, I'm sorry. They played after the big local band. Yeah. So the local band played, there was like maybe 100 people, 150 people. When the band was done, Papa Roach went on, there was maybe 10 people there, 10, 15 people at most. It was,
wow.
It was dead, but it was like a Tuesday night or whatever. And I remember I got that sample CD and it had Last Resort on it. And it had another song on it. I don't remember what the other song was, but I remember listening to that Last Resort. And I probably played that shit like 30 million times. Cause I was like, this song is front to back, just badass and so good. It's very anthem and just, it just connected with me, 2 months later, they were back in Jacksonville headlining, playing at Plush. 2,000 people sold out. That's how fast they blew up. So Last Resort, when I saw them, I don't think it was out yet. I think they were just like getting their feet wet and doing some touring or whatever. And then they, that song comes out and it's like overnight, but that was the power of MTV and how radio would work. It was like bands could become that overnight thing. So going back to Nirvana is what I was getting at. Was Nirvana was another one of those bands that, you know, Smells Like Teen Spirit came out, like nobody thought it was going to do anything. And then boom, MTV changed the game.
Yeah, it's crazy. We don't really have anything like that now. I mean, in a way it's good because you can make your own record independently and it can sound great. But then, yeah, there's no, I mean, you can put it everywhere. It could be on YouTube, Spotify, you can put it on Instagram, all this stuff. But it's like, how do you stand out? There's no like one power that has the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you what it is there's no mystique in rock and roll anymore. MTV actually still brought that mystique because, you know, you'd see like the STP video or something and be like, fuck, I love Stone Temple Pilots. And then it's like, oh yeah, coming up after the break, MTV interview, Kurt Loder interviews Scott Weiland from SDP or whatever. You go and you watch that interview and they're like, that's real shit. Like, wait, that's him? Wait, he's a real guy. Wow, that's really cool. You know, you just didn't really.
Yeah.
The mystique though, used to be there, man. Like, you know, as a fan of a band like that, you would do anything to shake his hand or get close to him or whatever. And then now, you know, you could find out where, you know, Dave Grohl's grandmother's cousin lives, you know, on Zillow or
right.
You can find her address. It's just, there's no mystique in that. And the privacy is just kind of out the window. So it almost makes these people much more accessible, you know, and it's sad, man. Cause I always thought rock and roll was supposed to have that mystique, you know, the Jim Morrisons and of the world and that thing. But,
right. Like when they would do an interview, it was a big deal. It was like Kurt Loder. It wasn't some shitty podcaster like me. It was like these real like MTV, like, you know, heavyweights. And that was like, it was cool. It's like, it's like an interesting time right now. Yeah. Cause in some ways it's cool, but then other ways, yeah, I see what you're saying about the mystique.
Yeah. And that's gone. Like that's never coming back unless, you know, the fucking internet blows up and we don't have Facebook and phones anymore. But I don't see that ever being the case. I think it's just gonna continue to, you know, people find more and more and more things about you and what you ate today and what, you know, what color your urine was, you know.
Right. Now everything's if it's not in an interview, it's on Instagram or it's on Facebook or yeah. And but then you can also take advantage of that stuff too with the accessibility, with the cameos and the meet and I know you guys are doing meet and greets, right?
Yeah. I've never been against it. I mean, I'm not one to say that social media is a bad thing. I think it's a great thing for people, for independent artists to get known and to like put your stuff out there. You know, it's good for that it's the platform, but there's also a lot of other fucking people on these platforms that shouldn't have access to that platform. You know what I mean? That's the unfortunate thing is there's a lot more bad than there is good.
It floods the market.
Yeah. It really does.
It's hard to, cause there's a lot of people say like, oh, there's no new good music. And I'm like, oh, there is good music. You just can't find it. You have to like swim through all the shit to get to the good stuff. And, but then there is good stuff out there. It's just being able to single it out. It's harder to do that now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, what do?
You got to listen to my podcast and listen to all the great bands I interview and stuff like that. Go to concerts and go on those Spotify playlists and stuff like that. It's fun and having these conversations. It's been a blast. So I'll let you get back to I know you're going kind of dark there. So I'll let you get back to the recording stuff. I always end with a charity. Is there a charity that you want to give a shout out to though, or one that you've worked with in the past?
Charity? Oh yeah. Musicares is a good one, man.
Okay.
You know, in anything to do with like, you know, mental illness and suicide prevention and things like that. Like my, you know, history of family, you know,
have battled depression and battled, that stuff. And, I've never met grandparents because they, took their own lives and stuff as well.
Oh, that's sad.
So, but it's real, and nobody knows. You don't walk in the person's shoes. I don't walk in your shoes, and or the person down the street. Nobody knows what they're going through, and I just firmly believe that we just have to be better humans to people, man, and just be good to people, and because you don't know what somebody's going through. So it's important for me, and I have my son's 14 and my daughter's 10, and they're at those ages where you're in school. It's like you be respectful to kids, and you do the right thing and be a good human.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, your son is a really talented artist. Like, you posted something the other day. He really painted that picture that you posted the other day, right?
Yeah, and his teacher said it could be better.
Oh, okay. Because I almost thought, I was like, at first I was like, is this a joke? Like, is this just you took like a really good picture, and then your son like, oh look, I painted this, because it was almost too good. So that's funny that his teacher said it could be better. I suck at art. That's why I'm so fascinated by it.
Me too. I'm terrible. I can't draw shit. But I actually screenshot that with the comments and everything, and I sent it to him, and I said, hey, show this to your teacher.
Look, I get it. He goes to art school, and they're very just extremely hardcore there, man. And so I just always encourage him, look, man, just keep doing your thing, and that's what art is all about, is people expressing themselves. It's like you and three other people can draw a sky, and it's going to be completely different, so just do what you think looks cool, and try to take direction from the teacher. And if she doesn't give direction, then whatever, we'll figure that part out. But just, but yeah, he's into the art thing, man. So it's going good.
That's really cool. Well, thanks for doing this. Thanks to Wayne too. I know he had to jet, but I'll let you guys get back to recording and stuff. So I look forward to a new album and tour.
My kitchen, because my charger, somebody took the charger out of my studio. So.
Okay. It's all good. Right. Yeah. We got some good stuff here. See you, Wayne.
Say bye. It was Chuck from the podcast.
Okay. Later.
All right. See ya.
Yeah, he's deaf. He couldn't hear up there anyway.
That's fine. Yeah, it's all good. I think we got some good stuff here, and so like I said, I'll look forward to a new album, and hopefully see you guys live someday.
Cool, man. All right, buddy. Thanks, Chuck.
All right. See you later.
See ya.
A lot of great stories from Bobby and Wayne of Saliva. Fun band, and I look forward to seeing them live and a new album. So make sure to follow them on social media. Check out their website for an up-to-date tour schedule. And I hope you enjoyed this interview and are patient with some of the technical issues. I continue to try and make the show better and better with every episode. So please make sure to subscribe to the show or follow us on social media so that you'll be notified of new episodes. I've got some big ones coming up, and I'll continue to branch out. We're going to do some non-music episodes as well. And for those that already follow me and subscribe to the show, it means the world to me, and I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, and remember to shoot for the moon.